everybody to the Palm Springs Unified School District regular board meeting. Today is March 8th, 2022. May we get a roll call, please?
President Girardi,
Here.
Clerk Jarrell,
Here.
Member Cornett,
Here.
Member Espericueta,
Here.
and Member Wood.
Here.
Student Board Member Kiona.
Here.
And Student Board Member Stephanie.
Here.
Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and welcome the Desert Hot Springs High School Marine Corps Junior ROTC. Board Member Kiona Corona will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Our student board member, Sophia Gonzalez, will lead us in our mission statement this evening.
All members of Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. We create deep, meaningful learning opportunities, build professionalism, and engage parents and communities to ensure success for all students. All students graduate with the skills, capacity, and confidence needed to succeed in a rapidly changing world.
Thank you very much, Sophia. Next item is a report on closed session actions. Member Jarrell, are there any closed session actions to report this evening?
Yes, President Girardi. In closed session, the board took action to issue a notice to the following certificated administrative employees that they may be released from their administrative positions and reassigned to a classroom teaching position pursuant to Education Code Section 44951, effective at the end of 2021-2022 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. Employee number 256417, current position assistant principal, reassigned position teacher. The roll call vote was unanimous.
Thank you very much. That brings us to item 7, approval of the agenda. May we get a motion to approve the agenda as presented this evening?
So moved.
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 8 is our student board member reports. The student board member reports will be presented by Cathedral City High School student board member Sophia Gonzalez and Palm Springs High School student board member Kiona Corona. First up, we'll have Sophia from Cathedral City High School.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sophia Gonzalez from CCHS. First off, thank you Superintendent Sweezy and Board for the opportunity to speak at tonight's meeting. Now let's take a look at some of the exciting things we have going on at CCHS.
For ASB, our sophomore council created and executed their annual Kindness Week during the Valentine's Week of February 14th through the 18th. This week was packed with spirit days like the King and Queen of Hearts Day, in which people gave hearts and stickers to someone they appreciated, and then the person with the most hearts won the King and Queen of Hearts at lunch. There was also a Lasso of Love Day where students dressed like cowboys and played ring toss at lunch. So it was a super cute week, so thank you, sophomores. ASB students also nominated this month's Tireless Teacher Award to Mr. Flores, our new social science teacher who teaches U.S. history and IB history of the Americas. So congratulations to Mr. Flores. ASB students are also leaving for their annual leadership camp to do some bonding and growing as a class. It's taking place on the 18th through the 20th. Our Heal Academy students are now collaborating with Landau Elementary for a fun run on March 12th, which is this Saturday, and here Heal students will present health-related displays to students, staff, and families in the community. The CCHS Heal students are also preparing for their upcoming SLC State Leadership Conference, which takes place this year in Long Beach. We'll leave on the 24th and return on the 27th, so we're super excited to go on our first trip again. Data students are holding another one of their coffee house events after school on March 11th, and here students can come and showcase their talents. Data students are also photographing at El Paseo Fashion Week. All seniors are also taking their panoramic picture tomorrow, Wednesday, March 9th, during fourth period. Now, as for sports, it's spring season for sports, so we have boys volleyball, swim, and tennis, and track and field. So boys volleyball has begun playing, and they have a game today and on Thursday. Swim has begun having meets. Boys tennis has started practicing for the new season and just played against Yucca Valley yesterday. Track and field is also having meets every week. And on to the next one. Congratulations to our senior wrestlers, Hector and Isaiah, who are CIF wrestling champions. And I know that they've accomplished this a few times in the past, so super proud of them. Very impressive. And band, our school also held the Stardust Performing Arts Expo this past Saturday, where students all over the valley, well, not even just students, groups also. We had the bagpipe people from the Palm Springs Air Museum, so I personally loved that. I thought it was super fun. And groups all over the valley were able to come and showcase their performances. All right, that's all for me tonight. It's most definitely an exciting time for Cathedral City High School as we continue through the second half of the school year, and I hope you enjoyed this insight to what's going on. So thank you and good night.
Good evening, my name is Kiona Corona and I'm a student board member for Palm Springs High School. So this past week we held our winter formal and we had our Spirit Week, rally, our dance, and our winter formal court. So this week's Spirit Week was Magic Monday. I can't read from sorry, I'm so sorry. Enchanted Forest, Sleeping Beauty, Lumberjack Day, and Fairy Dust Friday. So these are some pictures from our winter formal rally. We had our ballet folklorico dance. We held our winter captains to come and speak something about their team and our Spirit of the Sands. These are some pictures from the Spirit Week and dance and our winter formal king and queen, Nicole and Jacob. And these are some pictures from our quarterfinals, our girls varsity soccer, which we lost 1-0. And some upcoming events is our 8th grade orientation, which is we're having tours to show them around the high school, and we're having a pep rally for them. And we are also having clubs set up tables around the school for them to come and look at the clubs we have to offer to them. And this week we have Buff Ball signups and Power Puff, and we have prom upcoming on May 7th, which is at the Weston, and the theme is Gods and Goddesses. And that is it. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, next up is a special recognition. The governing board wishes to recognize and commend the following employees of the month for March 2022. First up, we'll have a few short videos produced by our student media interns.
Hi, I'm Mark Acker, principal at Painted Hills Middle School, and I am proud to present Mr. McKee. Hi, I'm Mark Acker, principal at Painted Hills Middle School, and I am proud to present Mr. McKee as our Employee of the Month. Hi, I'm Mark Acker, principal at Painted Hills Middle School, and I am proud to present Mr. McKee as our Employee of the Month. Mr. McKee is a 6th grade teacher. He also teaches a class of equity and inclusion, and Mr. McKee is a go-to for all of our after-school activities. He helps out with our Junior Black Achiever group. He has a drum circle group. So he stays busy here at Painted Hills, and we really appreciate the hard work and dedication that he puts forth for our students and our staff.
Hi, I'm Omar Tanoka, principal of Desert Hot Springs High School, and I'd like to congratulate Cindy Tomasi for being our classified employee of the month. Cindy is up in the front office, has done an amazing job in this crazy year that we've had, and so many vacancies. She's really brought the office together, stepped in, helped different secretaries when we've had that need, and going well above what she's, her duties and what's been expected of her. She's a team player. Helps all the new secretaries that are coming in, has a wealth of knowledge, and she's been here for quite a while. So it's really my pleasure to nominate and congratulate Cindy Tomasi as our classified employee of the month.
Hi, I'm Mark Acker, principal of Painted Hills Middle School, and I am proud to nominate Ms. Linda Gallegos for our Classified Employee of the Month. Ms. Gallegos is our behavior para, and so she works with kids that are having issues in class or they're doing lunch detention, and really proud of the way that Linda has made connections with kids and really taken the mantra of knowing all kids' names, knowing their faces, and knowing their stories, and how she's really fit in with the team, with our prevention specialists and our office staff to really provide really strong support for kids and to make kids feel like they're welcomed here at Painted Hills Middle School.
Hello, I'm Omar Tanoka, principal of Desert Hot Springs High School, and it is my pleasure to nominate Elizabeth Boucher as our Certificated Employee of the Month. Elizabeth has really done a great job this year bringing our department together, a newer teacher herself, and really going above and beyond to make sure that we're caught up with IEPs, parent meetings, signatures, all while still leading her department. We appreciate everything you do, Elizabeth, and thank you for being part of our Golden Eagle family.
All right, I'm Sue Drummond. I'm an administrator here at Desert Springs Middle School. This Employee of the Month goes to Ms. Paula Clark, our security officer. Paula's experience here in the community goes from knowing our students, the parents, and some of the grandparents. She's a pillar of the community. Her knowledge of everybody and their families has been really beneficial. She's always quick to help kids intervene and mediate so that we can avoid fights or conflicts, and she is definitely the one you want out in front of your school, keeping the campus safe with the traffic. Hi, I'm Sue Drummond. I'm an administrator here at Desert Springs Middle School, and our certificated employee of the month is our counselor, Miss Rebecca Tartaglini. Miss Tartaglini works with students every day, answering their needs, helping them with different things, running groups. She also was a huge driving force in setting up our wellness center and even helping with the grant and getting our wellness center looking like a wellness center. Even the best thing about Ms. Tartaglini also is that she was a student here, so she's able to teach our kids every single day that going to school here means that you too can do whatever you want when you get older.
Okay. I'm going to invite our Classified Employee of the Month, Cindy Tomasi, right here. Come on up. Hi. Now I'm going to say some really wonderful things. Cindy, on behalf of the students and staff at Desert Hot Springs High School, members of the governing board and administration, it is a pleasure to present you with the plaque of recognition as a Classified Employee of the Month for March 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And then, is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to recognize?
Okay. So first, this really goes to the staff and all the people who support me. Of course, my admin. Oh no, I wasn't doing that. I was waving at them. Sorry. Yeah. But thank you all for the support, and even the people at the district. And I also wanted to mention that I've been around here a long time, and I've worked with some of the people here as my principals. All these people have been mentors to me and taught me a lot of things. One in particular, well, first I also want to thank you all for giving us our wonderful new principal. He's done amazing things in the last few months. We love him. But I remember working for a particular principal, and I want to thank him because he taught me a very simple phrase that has changed so many of my relationships. And that is, Dr. Sweezy once told me, he said, Cindy, I always try and look at the very best qualities of a person. He probably doesn't remember telling me that, and over the years when I've had situations or anything, I always remembered what he said, and that's gotten me through. It's created relationships, and it's been so helpful. So thank you for that. Thank you all for supporting me.
Congratulations. Here's Cindy.
Does this one work? Great. Okay, next up is Norman McKee. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On behalf of the students and the staff at Painted Hills Middle School, members of the governing board and administration, it is a pleasure to present you with this plaque of recognition as Certificated Employee of the Month for March 2022. Is there anyone in the audience you would like to recognize?
Yes.
Good luck with that.
First thing I'd like to recognize is my wife. You know how that is. I can't go home if I'm, yeah. So also I would like to recognize administrative staff at Painted Hills Middle School for giving me the freedom and the flexibility to develop programs such as the Equity and Inclusion Program that reaches out to a vast majority of our students. So without their support, I wouldn't be here receiving this award. So I want to thank them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want me to go next? Okay, Paula. Where's Paula? Right here. So, darn. There's always more. Close. Rebecca? There you go. Awesome. Okay, Rebecca, on behalf of the students and staff at Desert Springs Middle School, members of the governing board and the administration, it is a pleasure to present you with this plaque of recognition as Certificated Employee of the Month for March 2022. Is there anybody you'd like to recognize?
Sure, since everybody else is. I would just like to recognize the schools of Desert Hot Springs. From growing up here to now working here, they have incredibly shaped me as a person. And then I just want to give a shout out to the administrators who have been of great support to myself and our counseling program at Desert Hot Springs, DSMS. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Elizabeth? Elizabeth, on behalf of the student and staff at Desert Hot Springs High School, members of the governing board and administration, it is a pleasure to present you with this plaque of recognition as Certified Employees of the Month for March 2022. Congratulations. Is there anyone that you would like to recognize?
Thank you. So first of all, thanks to my husband for being willing to drag out here tonight. And then thank you to the Desert Hot Springs High School administration team. We've had quite the year this year, and so thank you for being my support and my therapist sometimes. And I really appreciate all your patience and help throughout the year. We have some math people in the group as well, and so I appreciate all your help in supporting both the SPED and the math side of it, so thank you for all you guys do.
And Linda, on behalf of the students and staff at Painted Hills Middle School, members of the governing board and our administration, it is our pleasure to present you with this plaque of recognition as Classified Employee of the Month for March 2022. Congratulations. Is there anybody you'd like to say?
I just want to thank and all the support that I've received at Painted Hills. Palm Springs Unified has also been a family of mine, starting with you guys with my career in education. But thank you, Mr. Lowen, Mr. Acker, Ms. Pearson, and all of our admin.
Thank you very much, Linda. So on behalf of the board, I just want to thank all of our winners tonight. You do such a great job for our school district. You really, and I mean this truly, you all make a difference. Thank you very much.
Mark Acker, principal at Painted Hills Middle School, and I am proud to present Mr. McKee as our Employee of the Month. Mr. McKee is a 6th grade teacher. He also teaches a class of equity and inclusion, and Mr. McKee is a go-to for all of our after-school activities. He helps out with our Junior Black Achiever group. He has a drum circle group. So he stays busy here at Painted Hills, and we really appreciate the hard work and dedication that he puts forth for our students and our staff.
Congratulations again, everybody. Next up is item 10. We're going to have a presentation on A through G completion improvement grant plan. This has to do with our operational expectation 10, and I believe Dr. Pfeffer is going to talk about this. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you get it off.
You're good, sir? Yep.
Well, good evening, everyone. This evening we're here to speak about our A through G Completion Improvement Grant Plan. This particular plan is a part of some legislation that was passed recently, AB 130, and was revised as part of AB 167, with the intent that it improves the rates of students qualifying in what's referred to as the A to G requirements. For the group's understanding, the A to G requirements is a shorter way of basically stating that these students upon graduation are eligible for the UC system, the University of California system, or the California State University system. They've met those entrance requirements as part of graduation. So statewide, there is a goal to raise those rates, and funding has been allocated by the CDE in order to improve rates across the state. Those funds are expected to be expended between the current time frame and the 25-26 academic school year. So it's about a 4-year plan from this point forward. We do have a couple of reporting metrics timelines, and we'll discuss those as we get there. Now, the PSUSD allocation as listed on the slide is at about $2.4 million, which was our original allocation. CDE, after the posting of the agenda online, released a recalculation that adds a small amount of money to this, that raises it up to about $2.6 million. We'll be looking to bring those additional funds into the plan as part of the review on the 22nd for plan approval to help reinforce actions within the plan using our educational partner feedback that we collected as part of this process. So you'll see a slightly larger amount as we do the review prior to the approval at our next board meeting. So to give you an idea of the history of our A to G rates here in Palm Springs Unified, this is something that's been a target for our Educational Services Department, as well as for the Board of Education for a number of years. Over time, we've had some good results, rising over 10 percentage points over the past 5 years or so. However, we still have room to grow and room to improve from where we are. This past year, just under 50% of our graduates met those A to G requirements. You'll also note that when we look at this particular graph, that our students that are in foster youth placements and students that are English learners still have a gap between our all students group. And so we'll be looking to help to close those gaps as well. Important for the board to note, you'll see that there is no data point for the class of 21 for our foster youth group. That's due to protecting personally identifiable information because that was a very small group in the class of 2021. However, their results are similar to prior groups. So for our A to G plan, we always want to use data to inform our processes, and the plan asked us to review a couple of specific data points. Some of that was around access to A to G coursework. And we have quite a number of A to G classes. Approximately 66.9% of our classes in the high school in our district are A to G approved. Now, some of those courses that are not A to G approved include things like physical education, certain courses for those students with disabilities that have the most significant disabilities, some of our alternative education courses, and some other classes that help with things like credit recovery. So that number is not likely to get up to 90 or 100% as we need some additional options there, but we'll continue to build and improve our number of A to G courses as we bring new courses in line. We're also looking to add different pieces to our program. So whenever we add new program courses or we add new systems in our high school level, we always look to see if we can best align those to the A to G requirements. Now, another data point that we were asked to look at as part of plan development from the legislation was specifically around the number of courses in A to G that needed to be recovered due to school closures from the pandemic or the distance learning phases through the 2020-2021 academic year. We had a number of students who needed to make up different coursework due to grades. And we've already done a lot of that makeup work, but it's very clear that the pandemic had an impact on our students' ability to complete that coursework. So we're currently already into efforts to improve those numbers, but we're very clear as to the fact that there is still work to be done in order to improve those outcomes for students. So when we look at what the planned funding is able to be used for, the legislation outlines 4 primary uses. These align very well with expenditures that we already use in our LCAP, and the intent here is to do exactly that. It's to supplement and not supplant current LCAP efforts. So as we were looking at our fund usage and thinking about adding professional development or increasing ability to do comprehensive advising plans, potentially expanding A to G coursework, we were looking at ways that we could help supplement current efforts and really extend them to continue to increase our improvement that we've seen over the last few years. So in order to do that, we've developed 10 different actions within this plan. Those actions are listed here on slide 6, and we'll continue on to slide 7 of the presentation. Assignment is a position that we'll be looking to add to the plan. This person will be in charge of helping to implement some of the professional development, working with counselors on proactive strategies to help students with making up coursework prior to needing to do course recovery efforts, and helping our counselor groups in making sure that students are able to access A to G coursework as part of scheduling, as well as building awareness around A to G across the district. We're also going to be partnering with RCOE, our county office, on a transcript audit process that includes some professional development. Now that data is going to be important for informing a lot of the rest of our plans. That'll help us identify structural pieces that we can look at making refinements on, different types of courses where we may need to do different efforts, and we'll also expose some different challenges that some of our sites may have had in meeting requirements. One of the actions in this plan that we're extremely proud of is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion action. Within this action, our goal is to build awareness within underrepresented student groups within the district. Obviously, this plan, because it's serving on the unduplicated student counts, will be focusing on low-income students, English learners, and foster youth. But as part of this, we want to be able to build awareness with many different groups. And so we're looking to fund some trips to HBCUs and to HSIs, Hispanic Serving Institutions, to help build awareness of what that college experience is like, in addition to holding parent and community forums with different groups around the district to help our groups understand better what this A to G piece is, how important it is to keep options open following graduation, and how we can improve outcomes for all groups of students. We're also going to be looking to launch a grading practices task force to analyze grading practices around the district, be able to work through and help to look at some of the obstacles that we currently have in our system, and help to suggest ways that we can cross those barriers and improve outcomes for students as well. Another action in the plan, item 5, is the high school readiness and onboarding programs. For this process, we will look to our middle schools in order to build awareness around A to G at a younger age, and be able to build programs where 8th graders are transitioning to the high school campus in order to be more prepared for the A to G coursework that's ahead of them. On the second half of the plans, you'll see some similar items, specific intervention programs that support A to G course completion. The idea of this funding is during the day supports, so that it's tutoring structures, different types of advisory structures during the day, in order to support students in a timely way so that they never reach the point of credit recovery needs. We'll also be setting up a master scheduling task force, taking some of that data from our transcript audit and looking to put that into action with advisory groups. We're looking to also implement towards the latter part of the plan a new course structure called pre-AP courses. These are courses that are taught in usually the 9th and 10th grade to help students understand the rigor of accelerated coursework in the AP structure and be able to be more prepared in meeting those A to G requirements through completion of AP classes. We'll also be adding some additional staff professional development in these areas to make sure that as we discover areas of need, we have funding to be able to support teachers and practices and counselors and practices to help support completion. And finally, some funding to help support our tracking of student progress. We currently have an internal tracking tool for A to G. These funds will help us to develop that further, adding different visualizations and being able to connect students and families with the data a little bit more cleanly. So as with any of our plans, we always have monitoring measures. A list of those is currently on display on the screen. Many of these are outcome measures, and we'll be looking at additional items behind the scenes. But as of December 2023, we'll be identifying these measures for the plan to the CDE as our primary measure group. And then at the closure of the plan, we'll be indicating our progress in all of these different measures. Note that some of them have to do with the straight completion rates, graduation rates, all part of this plan, but also we'll be looking to identify increased numbers of A to G courses, performance in AP classes and on AP tests, and similar structures related to our board's results policies that we look to make sure that we're meeting. So that's the summary of our A to G plan. At this point, I will pause and see if the board has any questions about our current outlook. Yeah, actually, most of our Academy CTE type courses are A to G approved. These courses that are not A to G approved mostly fall in areas like physical education, as an example, which isn't an A to G grouping. There are also specific credit recovery courses meant to accelerate a path to graduation, not necessarily to A to G. And we'll be looking to refine those pieces for those students that need that credit recovery option. We also have a number of courses that do fit into certain small electives. We'll be looking to refine those as time goes on to be able to add more A to G layers in those sections. And also students with significant disabilities where the rigor of the coursework is not appropriate. Those are courses that may or may not be A to G depending on the content. That is our intent, yes. And we go through a process every time a new course is added where that's one of the things we look at is this possibly an A to G course? I know that Dr. Killian in particular is very focused on that particular piece. thank you very much. We were hoping for a balanced plan, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Pfeffer. We appreciate it.
All right, we will return at our next board meeting to vote that for approval, okay? Thank you very much.
Next up is item 11,
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I want to report that in Saturday, last Saturday, March 5th, I attended event. I was invited by Ellen Goodman, the PSUSD Foundation director. This was a dinner and show to have direct contact with Lucy Arnaz, because they have one proposal for the school district to introduce a teaching and learning tools for 4th grades based in the I Love Lucy program. Today, this morning, I attended to the Cathedral City Elementary School to see a presentation connected to this proposal. And I was very impressed because the first thing I see that Lucy Ernest spent like the hour before the presentation to talk with the children. She kept the attention of the children the whole time. And when they present the one example of the curriculum or program, also was very impressive for me because that show that she have and their parent has was a family show, but it's impressive how and let me find the name, Bonnie Cole. She's the founder and trainer of the Lucy lesson. How they connect the show to make the children to learn math, to learn history, to learn even a language, because sometimes they have episodes that have English and Spanish. And I was very impressive, and I think it would be a good idea to have that one in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ferdinand. Anybody else?
I just want to thank the Desert Hot Springs Principal Tinoco and his staff for hosting us tonight. I know it's a lot of work to get ready for us to come, so thank you very, very much. Also, thank you to our board members for their excellent presentation, Sophie and Fiona. And I had the pleasure of attending the second meeting of our Native American Parent Advisory Committee on March 1st. Dr. Pfeffer again gave an excellent overview of the LCAP, and many positive suggestions were provided by the group that night, so thank you for doing that. Also, just want to thank our parents and students and staff and community for their continued support for our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So I also want to say thanks because I thought the student board members did a fantastic job this evening, so thank you for that. I've been noticing that things are kind of getting back to normal. I took my mask off, sorry. I'll put it back on, I promise. But, you know, we're seeing more traffic, we're seeing more restaurants are so full, they can't get enough staff, people are going back to work. Things are kind of starting to look and feel like they're kind of getting back to normal. But one of the things that is not is that the food insecure community here, the need has grown by almost double during the pandemic. The number of people attending our food banks, the number of people, and I commend the schools for the way we've fed our families, fed our students, and always have. But if any of you out there are interested, the food banks locally still need your help. And so I would just ask you to think about that and help where you can. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I look out at the audience, and all I can think of is a John Denver song that was a country song, and it was good. I'm glad. It's good. I'm glad to be back home again. And I look out at you, and I see that this is home. And maybe this is just one part of our home in our district, and it's so refreshing to be back in an audience, in a theater, in person. And gratitude again, as they said, to all of you and the district help that brought us together, because this is really special. This is like a brand new opening again after being closed up for so many days. I was so excited to be invited to do reading with Read Across America group, 2 classrooms in Zoom, a kindergarten classroom, both of them, Adela S. Lindley in Zoom. It was Christine Swafford. Her kindergartners joined me on Zoom with a 4th grade class. That was Robin Harmon's class. And I read 2 poems. Principal Gonzalez joined us, and I had the chance to present to them a digital book called The Busy Life of Ernestine Buckmeister. And the book was all about helping kids play and learn to be kids again. And it was just so exciting to join the school, and I'm looking forward to be invited in person to Della S. Lindley or other schools to participate in reading. I also want to thank our CTE people, teachers. They put together a digital newsletter that was forwarded to us. It was so exciting, and it was creative, eye-catching, and educational. It really was. It's nice to see all your work that you're showcasing in the newsletters. Also, we were able to see a special education newsletter, and that was a spring newsletter. It was colorful, it was informative, and I give both of you all 2 thumbs up. It was, it's nice that you send the newsletters to us at the board to show us and highlight what you're doing. We are very fortunate to congratulate 3 Teachers of the Year, and I don't know if Dr. Sweezy is going to mention this, or I will anyways. Today, or yesterday too, Della S. Lindley, Elizabeth Coates, Teacher of the Year for the district, Ed Winslow, Jacqueline Mance, Teacher of the Year, and then here at Desert Hot Springs High School is Sergeant Michelle Webb. Let's give them all a hand. Yes. Congratulations. Awesome. Also, I would like to do a shout out to jealous to all the Palm Springs Unified teachers that get the $500 grants, 1 class at a time. Mrs. Bray from Raymond Cree, and then the KESQ Athlete of the Week, Alejandra Garcia for softball. And so we're really proud of all of the people that have been recognized, and we appreciate all the hard work of our coaches, staff, teachers, everyone that comes to schools and helps to help support our students. Thank you.
Just real quick, I think pretty much everything's been said. I want to express my regrets. I missed the Taste the Soul event here at the high school. I know that's a very special event at this high school, and this year I wasn't able to make it, but I'm sure it was a fantastic program, so congratulations. I also, go ahead. I also want to thank the staff of Desert Hot Springs High School and our district staff for putting this on today. I know the logistics of coming to this auditorium and putting on our meeting is difficult and challenging, and all the hard work is certainly appreciated. I really like that we're able to get out in the community, get away from the district office once in a while, and get out here and let everybody see what we're doing. I think that's all I got, so we'll go on to our superintendent.
Great. Thank you so much, President Girardi. And I'll just echo those thank yous to our technology team, to the team here at Desert Hot Springs High School for being incredible hosts. I am getting texts very frequently during the meeting to remind all of you to please lean into the microphone so that you can be heard on the YouTube feed. So we've gotten some, that's why technology is amazing. Somebody listening was texting and letting us know they're having a little bit of trouble. But thank you to our technology department for everything you've had to do to pull this meeting off. I really appreciate it. I also wanted to make a quick comment about our student board members. It's so nice to have Kiona and Sophia up here tonight, and Ramon in the audience. So Ramon and the Desert Hot Springs USB are here. So thank you for being here, Ramon. It's great to see you and the rest of your colleagues there at the USB from Desert Hot Springs High School. As Member Jarrell mentioned, we did just today make the surprise announcements about the 3 district teachers of the year. And so those were very wonderful visits to schools and very exciting to get to share that news with the staff. I did over the weekend get to participate in the Stardust Festival. Sophia Gonzalez mentioned that. In fact, I saw her there at the Stardust Festival. It was a great event hosted by Cathedral City that showcased bands from across the valley. So lots of big pride and shout outs to all of the performers who were at the Stardust Festival at Cathedral City High School. And also, as Member Wood mentioned, we are seeing significant change in the health condition in Riverside County. And every board meeting, I update the board and the public on the Riverside County numbers, the case rate. And I'm happy to report that as of today, the case rate is 9.8 cases per 100,000. So just to let you know, January 21st, it was 255 cases per 100,000. And when we left for winter break with lots of great optimism about things that were happening around lack of infections with COVID, we were at, we were at a 14.9 per 100,000 case rate. So we're actually lower than we were in December. And so that's great news. Also, just to spend just a minute talking about the district changing from a mask mandate indoors to a strong recommendation for masking to continue indoors. Starting on Monday, March 14th, masks will not be required indoors in our school settings. So, what's very important about that is it is still strongly recommended that students and staff wear masks. I sent a communication out to all staff members in the district sharing this news, and I also shared with everyone that that change on March 14th is a very important one. And it's one that some members of our school district community are very excited about. But there are others in this same wonderful school district community that have some concern or anxiety about the end of the mask mandate. You've heard me talk over these last several months about how proud I am to be part of this incredible district, and that the way we treat each other is one of the things that makes me the most proud. It's the reason I call Palm Springs Unified School District a family. Because we respect each other, we take personal responsibility for ourselves and for each other. So I'm encouraging all of our students and all of our staff and all of our families to prepare for this change from a requirement to a recommendation. And I want us all to remember that we are providing personal choice. So students can choose to continue to wear masks indoors, and so can staff. And I want those individual choices to be respected. If a student or staff member chooses not to wear a mask indoors, I want that to be respected as well. We are not going to be monitoring who's choosing what in terms of wearing face masks, and I do not want anyone in this district to make an assumption about someone's beliefs or their health status based on their decision to wear a mask or not wear a mask. And I would prefer that we refrain from commenting on one another's choices to wear masks or not wear masks. Parents, if you have very young children, please feel free to let your child's teacher know your wishes, and I've asked our teachers to do their very best to reinforce them. Schools will be discussing this change with students in a developmentally appropriate way and with the emphasis on respecting everyone's personal choice. If you as a student or even as a staff member feel any concern or anxiety, please know that we have school counselors able to talk to you. We have health professionals at every one of our schools, and we'd be happy to talk you through that process. We still want people to take responsibility for themselves, and that includes remaining home when you are sick and to continue to utilize testing if you're exhibiting symptoms or if you are concerned that you might have COVID. I just want to say again to the board how proud I am of this district and you as board members and your leadership. We together with almost 3,000 staff members and over 20,000 students and families have navigated through an incredibly challenging time in our country's history. As we move forward, I just want to say one more time how much I appreciate everyone's patience and understanding, and to keep in mind that respect and responsibility and how important that will be for us as a district moving forward. I'm looking forward to this change, but it's going to take all of us to make sure that it happens in a very responsible way. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, President Girardi.
Thank you, Dr. Sweezy. That brings us up to item 14, board action items. 14A is approval of certificated and classified employee transactions, OE 4.4. So can I get a motion to approve the following employment agreements? First one is employment agreement with Susan Drummond, Principal, Desert Springs Middle School, salary schedule 212, column 1, step 7, effective date March 9th, 2022. And the employment agreement with Vera Johnson, Assistant Principal, Desert High High School, salary schedule 212, column 1, step 7, effective date March 9th, 2022.
So moved.
I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Congratulations to the board.
Tony usually jumps right up, but today we're...
Okay, so as I read this out, just act surprised again, if you guys wouldn't mind. I'd appreciate it. So, for Sue Drummond. Sue, come on up. Where are you, Sue? Come on over here. Okay. Well, it gives me great pleasure to recommend to the board Ms. Sue Drummond as the principal for Desert Springs Middle School. Ms. Drummond earned her bachelor's and master's degrees from Cal State San Bernardino, as well as a master's degree from National University. Ms. Drummond started her career with Palm Springs Unified in 2006 as a math teacher. She then transitioned to the position of teacher on special assignment in 2013, serving as a district-wide math coach. In 2019, she was promoted to the position of assistant principal at Desert Springs Middle School, and currently she is serving as the interim principal at the same site since Mr. Tinoco was promoted to Desert Hot Springs High School. Throughout her career, she has demonstrated outstanding leadership, as noted by Mr. Hendra, Director of Human Resources. Ms. Drummond is a student and teacher advocate for the Desert Hot Springs community. She is always looking for ways to celebrate their successes. We are confident Ms. Drummond will provide leadership and continuity as the Desert Springs Middle School community continues on their path towards student success. So congratulations, Ms. Drummond. Anything you'd like to share with the board and superintendent, anyone you'd like to recognize this evening?
Sure, thank you. I want to thank Dr. Sweezy and Cabinet and the board for this opportunity. I also want to thank my husband and my mom for putting up with all my shenanigans for a long time. Lots of shenanigans, long hours, so thank you. And just the incredible staff, students, and parents of the school. We have some amazing people, and I'm really honored and humbled to continue the work. Thank you.
Next, if I could have Vera Johnson. Vera, where are you? There she is. I am also very pleased to recommend Ms. Vera Johnson as the assistant principal for Desert Hot Springs High School. Ms. Johnson earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Redlands and her master's degree from Chapman University. She started her career with Palm Springs Unified in 1996, since then serving as a teacher, director of student activities, school counselor, AVID coordinator, and lead counselor. In 2019, Ms. Johnson was promoted to the position of Dean of Students at Desert Hot Springs High School, and most recently has been serving as the interim assistant principal. While at Desert Hot Springs High School, Ms. Johnson has built strong relationships and has earned the admiration and respect of the entire Desert Hot Springs High School community. We are confident she will be an excellent addition to Mr. Tinoco's administrative team. Congratulations, Ms. Johnson. Is there anything you'd like to share with the superintendent board? Anybody you'd like to recognize tonight?
First, I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity. Some of you have known me since I was running around 2 years old, 3 years old in the district. I'm a product of Palm Springs Unified, and I'm proud to come back and give back to this community that gave so much to me. I'm grateful for my family and for my friends and for the people that I have to just sit here and listen to me ramble on about my day. I just appreciate everyone and their support, and I just promise to do the best job that I can each and every day to do what's best for students here in Desert Hot Springs High School, well, Desert Hot Springs High School, but Desert Hot Springs as a whole. So thank you very much.
Congratulations again. All right, item 14B, approval of monitoring report, OE 12 governing policy, operational expectations on facilities. This has to do with OE 8.1. We had a presentation at our last study session on this item. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussions this evening? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 14C is approval of positive certification of solvency, second interim report for fiscal year 2021/2022, OE 5. And Dr. Brian Murray will give us a presentation.
Okay. You hear me okay? Great. All right. Well, it's my pleasure to present the second interim report for 21-22 to the board this evening. Before I begin, I'd like to again thank and publicly recognize our Director of Fiscal Services, Peter Van Buskirk, for the work he and his team did to complete this lengthy report on time. So Peter, thank you very much. For tonight, as I do with all interim reports, I'll provide a brief update from Governor Newsom's budget proposal, as well as important second interim report financial data. The second interim report addresses both the current year as well as very preliminary planning for the next 2 years. As in all past interim reports, my focus is on the general fund, specifically Funds 03 and 06, collectively known as Fund 01. Know that the status of all our funds are found in each regularly scheduled and presented budget presentation and associated SACS report that you have received. The second interim report, as you may remember, there are 3 possible certifications: positive, qualified, and negative. Our objective is to present to you interim reports that meet the requirements of a positive certification. On the very first page of the SACS report, after the cover page, you'll see, or we show our certification recommendation to President Girardi and to the rest of the board. As you may know by now, or may remember, this is the second of 2 interim reports that I share with you each school year. The first interim report was shared with you back in December. In typical years, we do 2 interim reports. However, if we were to have a qualified or a negative first interim report, we are required to present a third interim report to the board, and that's for all activity through April 30th of that school or fiscal year. What I'm sharing with you tonight, in addition to a quick glance to components of the governor's budget proposal, is where we are financially with all funds as of January 31st of this school year, as well as projections for the remainder of this fiscal year. For the second interim report, we can always count on our partners from the Riverside County Office of Education for technical assistance. Because the second interim report addresses not only the current year but also 2 subsequent years, we also rely on information from School Services of California, the Department of Finance, known as the DOF, and the Legislative Analyst's Office, known as the LAO. Looking now at the governor's 22-23 budget proposal, the good news for the governor is that revenues are at an all-time high. He is counting on using these higher than expected revenues to hopefully put the pandemic completely behind us. Of course, it takes not only money, but perhaps most importantly, people to run all sectors of the economy, and we know personally in our district the problems that are caused due to staffing shortages. As alluded to earlier, California's budget and the economy is doing significantly better than anticipated. This has been bolstered primarily from personal income tax and sales tax, or sales and use taxes. Countering this optimism, of course, is the pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine situation, and the impact inflation is causing and continuing to have on goods and services. Unlike for 21-22, Governor Newsom proposed significantly fewer new programs in the 22-23 budget. This is in response, in part, to the challenges almost every economic sector is having with staffing. Taking a closer look at the U.S. economic outlook, we're seeing a growing economy that is being kept in check by inflation, available and qualified labor shortages, and supply chain issues for many goods. It's difficult to share anything related to the economy without also looking at the stock market. With the exception of relatively recently, you can see from this graph the Dow Jones Industrial Average increased almost 5,300 points in 2021. Nearly 50% of the state income tax is paid by just 1% of Californians, the state's highest income earners, making PIT, or personal income tax, a volatile revenue source. However, a positive trending stock market, when it is positively trending, certainly helps with this. Here on slide 13, you can see that with respect to jobs, almost every sector has rebounded from November 2020, but we are still lagging pre-pandemic job levels. If we look more closely at the numbers behind the governor's 22-23 budget proposal, we're seeing an increase to Proposition 98. As you know, that's the proposition that funds schools in California, and the Public School System Stabilization Account. With the governor's January budget proposal, it gives our first chance to put some substance behind our planning for the following school year. While the 5.33% COLA is nice to see, we also see over a 2% increase to our STRS contribution rate and over a 3% increase to our PERS contribution rate. Also, our unemployment insurance rate will also be significantly higher than normal next year before it drops back to more normal levels in 23-24. Also, after much conversation regarding the fiscal cliff, the governor has proposed a solution to help soften or lower the cliff for most school districts, including ours, exacerbated by the pandemic. The table on the left details what is referred to as our P2 ADA. P2 is a moment in time during the school year, typically in the spring when ADA is measured. Most of our funding is calculated using the P2 attendance period. Under current law, we are funded on the greater of what we anticipate will be our next year's ADA or our current ADA. For next year, we are forecasting our ADA to be at 17,913. The governor's plan for 22-23 is to do a 3-year average of 2019-20, 2020-21, and 21-22. You can see that under the 3-year average plan, that will save us almost 1,600 ADA. For the purposes of this report, please know that the governor's current proposal is not in law. Later in this presentation, when we look at the general fund picture for 22-23 and beyond, we are using the 17,913.38 number, since it does represent the current law for calculating revenues. With respect to current reality, the budget picture, and the second interim, I have included more information on ADA here on slide 17. If we look at our second interim data for 21-22, you can see a difference between our funded ADA and the hold harmless figure calculated from 2019-2020 and our actual ADA for this year. To put that ADA decrease in dollars and using our cliff ADA amount from 21-22, we would be looking at a reduction of about $28 million moving into 22-23. Given current projections for 22-23 and 23-24, we are projecting a drop of almost 2,000 ADA in 22-23 from our funded ADA level, and we're projecting a slight rebound from that number in 23-24. Regardless to whether we have a cliff or a soft landing, our ADA is declining, and as a result, that decline will have a direct impact on our revenue projections for the foreseeable future. Here on slide 18, the bottom yellow colored line shows this year's enrollment pattern. And as you can see, it is following a typical pattern that we have seen in the past. As of February 4th, our enrollment was 20,401 students, down 616 students from our CBEDS projection of 21,017, and 487 students from the same time last year. However, I want to acknowledge our principals, many of are still in the room, teachers and classified and other administrative staff for engaging with students and their parents every day to improve student attendance. This current enrollment trend is concerning, as enrollment is a primary component of ADA, and ADA is a primary component of how we are funded. As you know, we are not alone regarding this trend, and since the pandemic began, the declining enrollment rate in California is over 5 times the rate of the enrollment decline before the pandemic. Slide 19 deals specifically with unrestricted general fund money. The fund, the general fund, unrestricted general fund, the fund that we get the most of in our district, and the fund we spend the most from, and the fund we use primarily when discussing employee compensation. As a reminder, it is with this fund that we can buy just about anything that the law allows us to buy. I'd like to take a closer look first at this year, 21-22. The total unrestricted general fund revenues at second interim are $283,745,923. Total expenses and uses are at $301,874,678. Taking a closer look at what comprises this number, let's look first at the $249,959,269 in expenses. This figure assumes that everything that is budgeted for this year for people, materials, supplies, contracts, everything will be spent. We know in the past that that hasn't happened, and most likely, pretty much with 100% certainly, won't happen again this year. Under transfers and other uses, you can see that we have a total of $23,230,283 listed. Comprising that number are several items. $250,000 in retirement pool contributions for teams 1 and 2. $2.77 million for our property and liability insurance contribution. $4,600 to nutrition services to fund the 181st instructional day. And the remaining $20 million was transferred to the reserve fund for other than capital projects to be used if needed to close 21-22 and address that fiscal cliff should the governor's proposal not pass, and to build our 22-23 budget. As per Ed Code 41372, we as a unified school district must expend 55% of our general fund on object codes 1,000 and 500, 1,000 through 500, and we have done that this year. Our July 1st, 2021 beginning balance was $47,001,309, and you can see that we are projecting our June 30th, 2022 balance to be $28.87 million. You can see that of that $28.87 million, we have $150,000 representing what is in the warehouse and cash on hand, and $14,309,764 represents assigned but unspent funds. And the $14,412,261 represents the minimum 3% reserve that we are legally required to keep on hand in case of a financial emergency. If there were a true financial emergency, just to remind the board, that would last us about 2 weeks. If we look at the bottom line in 22-23 and 23-24, you can see that we are projecting about $5.7 million in fund balance right now in 2020 or 22-23, and about $3.5 million, a little quick on the clicker, in 23-24. Keep in mind that those bottom line numbers do not assume any changes in pay, but they do assume that we continue to spend at our current spending levels. Our STRS and PERS contributions maintain their current rates. The special education contribution continues at a current trajectory. Health and benefit costs continue as they currently are. Our enrollment and associated ADA continues to decline at projected rates. And as I alluded to earlier, the revenue projections for 22-23 and 23-24 assume the cliff scenario and not the soft landing scenario. There was a question from President Girardi at the board's agenda planning about the increase in revenue, and there's really 3 pieces behind that. The first piece is that we are the rates will be increasing from 22, 23 to 23, 24. So that will contribute part of that. The other part of that is that we're factoring in a rebound in our ADA from pre-pandemic levels. That right there will result in the biggest jump for us. There's no reason for us to believe that the ADA levels that we're at right now will be that way when we're clear of the pandemic. So that's something we're not anticipating, and no one else is either. The last component of this is the fact that we are transitioning to all 4-year-olds in TK. The governor has a TK plan. So over the next 2 years, there will be that essentially will have another full-time grade level by 25, and so that will contribute also to the increase in ADA as compared to enrollment. So with all those factors considered, that's what the bump in revenue is regarding. With respect to the multi-year projection for the combined general funds and unrestricted, and looking at this slide here on slide 20, you can see that the first column is outpacing revenues by $9 million, and again, this is due to the transfers and other uses explained on the previous slide. For 22, 23, 23, 24, you can't really compare the revenues and expenditures to the current year because this year's revenues include carryover funds from 2021. And keep in mind that none of these figures in the out years assume any modification to salary or salary schedules. And they do assume millions in reductions in the expenditure columns that reflect our necessary adjustments to declining enrollment and also the use of the one-time funds from CARES Act funding that we've received. Also, revenues listed in 2021-22 show $94,510,247 in restricted one-time funding that I just referenced from the federal government and also state pass-through money. Looking at 22, 23 and beyond, as stated earlier, the revenues are tracking based on a decline in enrollment, but a slight uptick that we're projecting in ADA. So to summarize 21-22, the second interim report, and as of right now, we continue to meet our financial obligations for this school year. Moving through the rest of 21-22 and 22-23 and beyond, again, I want to remind the board, you've seen these before, these 9 key factors continue to shape the work that we do every day. That being financially responsive to our declining enrollment, regularly evaluating the costs associated with TK3 class size reduction, being responsive to employee compensation trends, continuing to find ways to be fiscally responsible with special education related support, making sure our teachers have the most current curriculum, keeping our facilities in such condition that they remain the pride of their respective communities, using our LCAP appropriately and responsively, being aware that utility costs continue to rise and the need to continue to look for ways to decrease those costs. And then lastly, understanding that our contributions to our employees' retirements will continue to increase and also to plan for those increases. So with that, our recommendation to the board this evening is that you approve our second interim report with a positive certification. That's my report for this evening. If there are any questions, be happy to answer them at this time. All right, thank you.
So can we get a motion to approve item 14?
Move for approval.
How about a second? May we get a motion to approve? So moved. We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 14E, approval of change order number 1 with PowerFlex Systems Incorporated for the design and construction of battery storage units at the Palm Springs District Administration Center, Cathedral City, Desert Hot Springs, Palm Springs, and Rancho Mirage High School. Agreement number C0004206. This has to do with OE 12.7. May I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
How about a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 14F, approval of amendment to number 1, approval of amendment number 1 to site agreement with American Tower LLC for communication tower at Cathedral City High School, OE 12.1D. Can I get a motion for approval, please?
I move for approval.
Have a motion, how about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
passes. 14G, approval of expulsion case 2021/2022-36, recommendation and findings of fact, conclusion of law, OE 11. May I get a motion to approve, please?
Move to approve.
Have a motion, how about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 15 is the superintendent's consent item, where we will pass or make a motion to approve and then vote on items 15A through 15D, unless somebody would like an item pulled for specific discussion. How about a motion to approve item 15?
Move for approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 15B, approval of revised job description, paraprofessional technology support, OE 4.7. Item 15C, can I get a motion for item 15B, please? Oh, I'm sorry. We already did that, right?
Yep.
We're on 16. Hey, it's kind of getting worse every week. 16 is board consent item. Can we get a motion to approve item 16A, approval of meeting minutes February 22nd, 2022?
Move for approval.
We have a motion, how about a second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to abstain on this.
Okay, we have one abstention. Item 17 are information items. 17A is submission of early Head Start and Head Start reports for requirements of the Head Start Act for December 2021 and January 2022, OE 10.1. And 17B, Palm Springs Unified School District Early Childhood Education Annual Self-Assessment. Are the informational items we have tonight. Item 18 is any suggestions for future agendas?
I do. President Girardi and board members, I'm interested in learning more after knowing so much about our grades, knowing more about vaccinations and what we're doing to help support our schools and students in vaccinations and where we are making progress and what our current state is and how we are working in schools. That would be maybe a report or a letter, whatever you're sending to parents or community. That would be great. This past Sunday, I had a chance to meet with Roberta Klein outside of our church after Mass, and she and her husband Clay have the Read With Me they're the founders from 2004, and they are really interested in coming over and working in our schools, and I have their contact information. They said they might need 15 minutes to come and present to the board and maybe involve them and invite them to come and inform us about the program. Also, I would appreciate it if we could make plans to work with Dr. Nicole Anderson and the Equity Committee and provide PD to the school board and help our new student board members understand what we can do to support equity and help as a board and leaders. And then the last thing would be because we are moving to early start schedules for schools this next year, looking into what are we projecting for safety for the athletes in the fields at night, maybe after school, because you're going to have extended days. So what are we thinking about doing to help prepare for the safety of our athletes? So those were the ideas that I'm interested in seeing more information.
I guess I'll let Dr. Sweezy address it, but I don't know if these are board agenda items.
Right. But I'm just interested in learning more. They might be, like you said,
For that-
projected other items for
I think
information.
some of this could be addressed in a Friday before.
Okay, we can definitely do that.
I don't know, are you guys familiar with these?
Yes, yeah. I know Dr. Kovach
Is
has
that
met
something you would
with them.
recommend we hear about?
We've been asking him and
Right. So, I mean,
And we do have it in certain schools right now.
right.
We've
I don't
had
know if it's a
onboarding.
board presentation, but it could certainly be educational services could present our district's plan for where they are and how to implement, because I know you've met before with.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And then the safety, or Dr. Nicole Anderson, that would be.
But I think is the board interested in?
She's our new consultant that is helping us. She just did something with our district.
I know, I saw a presentation of her through the Riverside
PSUSD.
County School Board Members Association, and last year, she's excellent. I mean, I thought
Definitely.
they were, such a good group to bring into our district. So, yeah, I think if we could be invited to something, that would be great, if people can go. I think it would be wonderful, because it's what she had to say, I thought was
Would this
right
be
on.
important enough to include in one of our retreats?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I think she's excellent. You really enjoy it. I think so.
Okay.
Schedule that in the retreat.
Yep.
I think also we talked about, or you mentioned too, we had gotten several letters, or one inclusive letter from a lot of our coaches about
Right.
lights on the fields and looking into that. So I think that's something that you were going to look into and report back to.
Yep,
How many of our
definitely.
fields actually have lights, or that we're going to light them up, or what exactly
Right.
we're going to do. We also talked about at agenda planning, maybe discontinuing the telephonic comments. That was something that, and I don't know how, that's not required. I mean, the emails we can still have and in person, but it's really difficult sometimes to even hear the telephone comments. And and we haven't had any recently, so, or at least this week. I don't think we had any last week. So I don't know how we go about that, or if that's something we need to discuss at, amongst ourselves, or how do we go about that?
I think it's because it's not required, and it's something we have continued to do, but of course tonight we weren't able to do it. I think we could discontinue just with board direction, because we are meeting the requirement through having both email and in-person comments.
So,
What's the will of the board?
You want to do away with telephonic comments?
Yeah, I would, because I don't think we can hear them very well. And I also think that I don't think we pay as much attention to them when we're calling in just over the phone. They don't really pay attention to their time limit. We have just a number of issues with it.
We want to encourage everybody to submit comments.
absolutely.
We don't want to, put up any barriers, but I think the telephone comments logistically have not worked.
Right.
And either the connection doesn't happen or we can't hear them, so they're really not getting their comments through.
Right.
I think the email or coming in person is definitely the better way to go.
Right.
All right, so what do we start that?
Okay, thank you.
So we're going to set our next board meeting. Regular board meeting will be March 22nd, 2022 at 6 p.m. That will be at the District Administration Center. So that brings us to item 20, which is a debrief item. So do our student board members have any critiques for us tonight? talk to your principal. That's above our pay grade. You need to talk to your principal about that. Anything else? Sophia, you have any comments?
No, nothing here.
Okay. Thank you both for being here and participating with us. All right, anybody else have anything, closing comments? Okay. How about a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very